We met at the Forest Cafe in Edinburgh, and that was like a really arty, out there cafe for alternative people to gather, and they'd put on little gigs and they'd have an art studio at the front, and you just meet really interesting people there. It was so exciting. I moved to Edinburgh, I started going to the Forest Cafe. I'd bring my guitar along and like see if I could jam with people in the little gallery at the front. And I think Kim was just hanging around and he heard me playing, and it was really cool. He's like, "Ah, you're really good. I really like your songs. I like the way you're playing guitar." And he said, "I've got a gig at a local diner called Susie's Diner, and you said I should come along and play a set in the interval of, you had a band playing there, so I'd play in the interval." I think that's roughly what happened. Did I miss anything? Mm-mm. And then, so I'd play there every Friday at a nice wee vegetarian diner, and gradually I got invited to play in the band, and then that band disbanded eventually, and eventually we thought we should play more of my songs and Kim's songs, and we were playing blues, and Kim has a lot of history playing Cajun music. He used to play in Deaf Heights Cajun Aces in the 80s, and it was like a big successful band. And so we thought we'll play some Cajun music, mix that all in. I was really interested in learning that style, enjoy it. So then we've mixed Kim's Cajun music into Jennifer Ewan Band with a bit of blues and lots of original songs. Is that a reasonable summary? Have I
But for
missed anything?
today's, because of the contact with the guy from Las Vegas, because he was mentioning Jen's songwriting and singing, we thought we'd do just Jen's songs because that's kind of the same kind of ballpark.
Well, yeah, I thought maybe
Yeah.
that's the style that you guys are more interested in. I don't know. So we went for that.
It's quite good to focus on one style.
We play a lot of
Yeah.
styles. It's hard to know what to focus on
Mm.
sometimes, and
Yeah.
what do people actually want to hear. It's hard to know. You just have to play what you like playing, I guess. But we like playing all the styles, so.
It's me that recorded and mixed all that music
Mm-hmm.
and played. I played the drums on all of it,
Yeah.
and um, played all the flute parts, all the accordion parts, all the backing vocals, all that stuff. For better or worse, some of it was a bit misguided, but um, although I didn't do the final mastering, we got other people to do that. But so it's really interesting. You would be immersed in my what I what I thought was the way to do it, because obviously I spent years on that stuff, and sometimes you wonder how anyone's ever going to hear it. So when someone says they've immersed themselves in it, it's
It's
like
really nice to
quite a
hear.
big deal,
Yeah, yeah.
because that was, I guess, what there's, I mean, there's some songs there that I really did a lot of work on, like "You Missed Me," for example. There's a song called "You Missed Me" on the third album, beginning of the first track of Bonnie Bayou,
Right.
and I mean, really put endless work into that, and also "Disappear." That's really, we actually recorded that twice, redid it from scratch after like 3 months work or something. So the "Disappear" video is an interesting item because we work we worked along with a filmmaker called Simon Fildes, who's a very, very well-known internationally screen dance filmmaker, award-winning, in demand to teach all over the world. And he also produced the first Scottish screen dance festival in Perth for a couple of years before he died in April from cancer. And I played with him, made music with him for on and off for 35 years or something. So he played bass with us, and he kind of knew where we were coming from because we knew him so well. He was like really in with the music, But because he has had this other career, we didn't always play with him. We just played with him now and again. And he made those films online, Portobello, Land Always Dreamed About, and Disappear, which are the three main
music videos we've got. Yeah.
kind of arty films. And the Disappear one was he came to us and said, I want to make a film about Disappear, because it's about Jen's experience of being dyslexic at school. Mm-hmm. And so we made that film using the camper van. He says, I want to use your camper van and set up the camera in it, and we'll go to 50 different locations around Edinburgh, and Jen will have 50 different changes of costume.
It was mental. What was
mental.
he thinking? Like, if you really want to, Simon, are you sure? I mean, just a couple of costumes will be fine.
So Jen likes dressing up.
Well,
so it was really good to use that side of things. And we did it, and it took 3 days to do the shoots. And we did it with a sliding door and driving past these things, or Jen walking past or standing on the street or something. And it's about the Disappear
dyslexic mindset, what it's like to have dyslexia. But I guess it relates to anyone that just feels they don't fit in any scenario, just not feeling like you belong. And yeah, that hard feeling. Not belonging.
So he put his all into that. Is really huge experience of screen dance. So that idea he had, where he was going to maximize the potential of just having different images, and of course Jen was miming to them all. So we have a beatbox on the street, and Jen singing along with his beatbox. So he has to get all that synchronization going, but it worked very well.
It's cool. It's arty.
Yeah, it really did. And
I was just really grateful that he wanted to. I was very pleased
we put the effort into the audio before he did that, because we had some audio that was seriously compressed and worked to do that with, you know. So it's fun. You put a lot of effort and no one gets paid anything for it, and but then you can live with it, you know. That we can live with, can't we?
Yeah, I just want to make sure my music's heard and do your best with it and enjoy doing it. Put your music out there. And if you have to do it yourself, make it happen. So that's what we do. It's fun. that quite a lot, actually. I think, yeah, that's going to be around when I'm not here. That's quite magical, isn't it? You've created something out of nothing and you're going to disappear one day, but that's still going to be there. That's weird to think about, but it's pretty amazing. It makes you really want to do your best with it again, imagining these future people potentially, hopefully, maybe listening to it. It's magic.
Yeah, well, a couple of occasions it's happened. The old pals of mine I haven't seen for like 20, 30 years, they've got in touch with Jen online and said, oh, we like that music. That's our music.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I write music that a certain group of people, certain demographic quite like it. They sometimes are like, oh, that reminds me of 60s pop hits. I really like it. I'm like, oh wow, I'm writing songs that remind people of 60s pop hits and things. I don't know why.
It's kind of this guy I was at school with, I hadn't seen for like 50 years or some ridiculous length of time, gets in touch and says he likes the music. And it's like, he never even knew I was a musician, because I wasn't when I was at school. And it's like, he must like, I guess you're influenced by your dad.
I've listened to lots of records from that era. I'd go through my parents' record collection, listening to all the Bob Dylan, Neil Young, David Bowie, all of that stuff on repeat. And I'd hear it in the car journeys, Bob Dylan on repeat on every car journey. But it was great music, and I would imagine that's influenced my songwriting. It's going to appeal to people that like that kind of music. It makes sense, I guess.
Well, it's funny as well, because so much modern music is derivative of that music. That was when the mold was set. Bob Dylan's way of putting chords together.
Singer-songwriter.
Not that much has changed.
Yeah,
it's been tweaked, but it hasn't been rebuilt from scratch like he rebuilt it from scratch. And drawing on the American music in that way, artfully, with a lot of thought, and then doing it as if he wasn't really thinking about it, sort of thing, as it was just casual, but he thought about it a lot. And he thought of that was going to outlive him as well, which it will do, of course, because all white people play like that now, and they were all copying black people back then. So just copying Bob Dylan, it's not going to sound like Bob Dylan. What it's going to sound like is somebody who's tapping into the way music was put together in the Mississippi Basin at the dawn of time, sort of thing. That's sort of more like in that direction. It's tapping into Howling Wolf, and obviously Bob Dylan's not going to sound like Howling Wolf, but he certainly heard Howling Wolf, that's for sure. And so does Jen, and so does everybody now, because you can hear it online. But there was this big gap between now and back in the 50s when Howling Wolf was recording for Sun, and that, when no one listened to Howling Wolf, but they all listened to the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Nirvana and whoever else, who were all listening to that stuff themselves. I mean, it's quite detailed, really, to put it in words. Yeah, it appears to be kind of geeky and detailed and artsy even, but it's not. So when I came to Edinburgh, I started playing music with these people who were listening to what you'd call American roots music. And they were listening to the pre-bluegrass music of the Appalachian Mountains, of the swamps of Louisiana, of the Mexican corridas and the Mexican border, of the prison work songs. And they were listening to all that, and they were playing string instruments. And the way because they were imitating the American way of playing string instruments rather than the European way, they were kind of unknown to themselves, listening to African American music, because those string instrument players were strongly influenced by early gospel and early blues and that sort of thing. So they were approaching the touching of the strings in a kind of African American influenced manner, which people in Europe still don't really. And they were differentiating between the one, like the one they talk about in funk, or the one and the offbeat, the snare drum, the big heavy offbeat in soul and blues and stuff. So when Jen plays the guitar, she was differentiating between the strings she were hitting and those beats, and very consciously, whereas everyone else that I'd heard, like everybody I'd heard playing, was strumming in a sort of mental manner without any heed to the rhythm, just strumming like a sort of anarchistic strum, which is very much the style of sort of post-punk guitar playing, which everyone can do. So it's very nice leveler for everybody. But Jen wasn't doing that. She was playing a kind of artful guitar part that was well thought, so much so that I thought she looked like she had brains in each of her fingers, both right and left hand. It was very separated. And it was also, she wasn't looking at her fingers. It was very natural. And on top of that, she was doing the singing at the same time, and singing in cross rhythms. So these songs we've played today, the chords are continuing pretty much the same. Well, they change sometimes, but some songs they continue. But the rhythm sort of morphs over the top of it. And Jen has a way of writing 3 melodies to a song, not just 2. So some of those today had 3 melodies.
I like 3 melodies in a song. Just keep them coming, right?
Exactly. So, and then plus, because Jen's been taught to present herself in drama school, been to acting school, college, yeah.
Didn't get that far, but
you get the presentation. So all that stuff, it hit all those buttons when I'd been playing with these guys who were into roots American music, because you heard that stuff in that music, because they were all, trying to play like Mississippi Fred McDowell or someone, where the picking is very intricate, and it's sort of shamanistic, it's sort of trance, religious kind of spiritual music. And Jen does all that because of the dyslexic talent, So I was just knocked out. It was fantastic.
It's very nice. Like for me, that's really a lovely compliment. Like I have no idea I'm doing any of that. That was a big surprise to me when I heard Kim saying all of these descriptions that I'm doing interlocking cross rhythmic stuff. I wasn't aware I was doing that. Just thought it sounded nice.
Well, I've played with some famous people, fortunately, a few famous musicians, and the experience of playing with them was very much like they would pick up the whole band by the scruff of the neck and shake it into a good thing. It would become a good thing, everything would be sort of sieved and shaken around. So playing with Jen is like that. It's like playing with a famous musician who has a huge amount of experience and a gift to do stuff. So it's great.
Thanks.
In
Thanks,
that
Kim.
sense.
Right back at you. That's really crazy to me. I don't really believe it. I'm very complimented. It's amazing because he's such an experienced musician and played a lot more gigs than me. It's amazing. I can't really believe it. I kind of just think maybe he's just making it up. I can't believe it. It's lovely. It means a lot.
Well, other people do hear that. I mean, for example, Jen was invited to be an ambassador for Dyslexia Scotland. And the sort of the angle Dyslexia Scotland have, they're funded by Jackie Stewart and the Scottish government, so they have a lot of funds compared to dyslexia resources in a lot of countries. And Jackie Stewart's from Dumbarton, which is the same place Jen's dad's from. Which is
I spent my childhood in Dumbarton. My grandparents are from there. I loved it. Hung out on the canals, Dumbarton. So that's nice to find out Jackie Stewart's from there.
So you're in a room full of dyslexic people listening to, we play for them sometimes, and they kind of get what Jen does, because
I wonder if they have thinking the same way. I don't know if their brains are just wired up similarly. Like, they particularly seem to like it. I don't know why. Maybe it's like dyslexic music written by a dyslexic person for dyslexic people, but for everyone. But maybe they particularly like it. I don't know. It's interesting. Really nice playing for dyslexic people because they're like my people. Like they get me. It's really cute. It's really cool. was really amazing. I was so massively complimented because I don't normally get much recognition, really. We get some nice gigs, but yeah, that meant a lot to me. I put so much work and effort into writing songs, and I love doing it so much. To be recognized by someone that is, I think, really talented and a top performer and musician, that means a lot to me. It was so exciting. Couldn't believe it. Like, I was listening to him, like, am I imagining this? Is he really talking about me? And that meant a lot. Amazing. Really cool.
Great. I was there when Jen.
I was like, Kim, I
found
think
this.
something. I think Las Vegas like my song. Like, I think I might like check this. Is this real? Like, yeah, I was quite excited, just a wee bit. Stop, look around. I hear the sun go down. The sun go down. In a heartbeat, I feel so incomplete, so incomplete. Tears wash away, eyes red. You know what's in my head, what's in my head. Days going faster, remember the laughter. New friends are waiting, no time for hating. Look down at the ashes, through damp eyelashes. Dead leaves are falling, tomorrow is calling. Stop, look around. I hear the sun go down, the sun go down. In a heartbeat, I feel so incomplete, so incomplete. Tears wash away, eyes red. You know what's in my head, what's in my head. Shadows were forming, still there in the morning. Just keep pretending it's not the ending. Thought I was living, my soul I was giving. Not sure I'm ready, but my heart is steady. Stop, look around. I hear the sun go down, the sun go down. In a heartbeat, I feel so incomplete, yeah, lockdown was difficult. We lost all of our gigs. I'd had a lovely diary full of gigs for the coming year. So yeah, it's been hard work trying to get back into the swing of things and get the gigs coming back in. And we've been lucky to get on this show. We're delighted, and we did a gig on BBC Radio Scotland. But yeah, it's just taken a while to get our gigs back. I think people are quite cautious to start booking bands, but hopefully people are going to get more confident. And yeah, we'd love to start doing more live gigs and more things like this. We're just very open to performing and getting our music out there. That's what I really want to do. Let as many people hear our songs as possible. So yeah, get in touch. Portobello. Well, I used to go down on the bus. I lived in a little flat in Edinburgh, and I was in a band, not Jennifer Ewan Band, but I'd go every week down to Portobello and practice music in the rehearsal studio with them. And I quite often end up on the beach and just hanging out on Portobello Beach, taking it in. And I started wanting to write a song, and I found that Portobello fitted really nicely into the melody, and it just all locked together, and it felt like a little, is a homage, is that the word, to Portobello? A little love song to Portobello. I really like that place, and yeah, I wanted to write a song about it, document my time there.
There was a motion in the Scottish Parliament about it, actually.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah.
Like, weird things happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened. And I still don't really understand, like, how do you get a motion in Scottish
To support
Parliament?
you, I think.
It was, oh, I can't remember which MP it was. Oh.
Ash. It was the MP for Portobello.
Yeah, makes sense. You'd like a Portobello song. But that's cool.
Oh, sure, you'll have to stop me.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, my first instrument was the flute, and I used to play, on beaches with bongo drum players, improvising hippie music. When I was 17, I sort of hitchhiked around Europe, and I fell in with this guy called Ricky from LA, an African American traveler who'd just come back from visiting the blue men of the Sahara. And he said, no, you should stop playing those scales and stuff like that. You need to play your feelings. And he showed me how to play my feelings as a young man, 17-year-old boy, night after night on the rooftops of a little Greek village. And he then gave me a list of albums to buy when I got home, and Miles Davis, John Coltrane albums, which I bought and sort of just swallowed whole. And that was my formative introduction to flute playing, really. And since then, the flute, I've followed a lot of North African music, listened to a lot of Moroccan music and Algerian music. And also I've studied fairly formally Ugandan flute playing with a master musician of Uganda called Albert Sempeke and his brother Sewanga. And that was just phenomenal. It's not West African music, it's East African music. So it's a very unusual style for Western ears. And I've also played a lot with South Africans with Asazi, Kholeo Mosala. And I played flute with him as well, and that was a huge influence on me. So I've been influenced a lot by African musicians. And of course, South African music makes a lot of the accordion. And I remember I once was playing with Asazi, and I said, when do you want me to play? And he just said, just play all the time. So he wanted me to play accordion all the way through the numbers. So if I was playing flute all the way through the numbers, which was great. And he liked what I did, and I listened to a lot of South African music. But the accordion I play here, I bought here in Scotland. It's about 80 years old, and it's been tuned by Gordon Accordion, who lives in Lone Head, and he tunes all my accordions.
Shout
And
out to Gordon Accordion.
if you want accordions tuned nicely, Gordon does a really great job.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
You'll find him online, I'm sure. He used to play with the Vikings. He was a bass player with the Vikings, I think, and singer, and they were quite well known at one time. And he's a lovely guy. And the accordion I was playing today is well, we last met him actually at the Newton Grange Accordion and Fiddle Society 40th anniversary. I mean, goodness knows what we were doing there, because we don't play Scottish music apart from Jen obviously sings.
I don't know how we got there. We've done some weird gigs.
Yeah, so we met him there. He was just watching and listening to the state of the art Scottish traditional music. It's fantastic. But we don't play that. But we were there, and they put up with us, and they were very polite about what we do, which was great. And so the accordion I'm playing today is called a double ray. It's a Hohner, and it was the instrument of choice in Scotland in the 30s and 40s. It's the sort of instrument that Jimmy Shan started playing on. But Gordon's tuned it to what's called dry tuning. So the Scottish accordion playing is distinguished by its very, very pronounced vibrato. So that means you have two reeds sounding at the same time, but they're tuned apart. So you get interference patterns happening, and it sings. So it sings very loud. So you hear one note on a Scottish accordion, and it sounds like Scottish music, because that's the distinguishing side of Scottish accordion playing. So my accordion would originally had a tuning of that sort, but I got Gordon to take it off, so that when I play with Jen, I'm not making it sound in any particular style. So I used to try to play Tex-Mex music on the accordion. I met Flaco Jimenez, the great Tex-Mex accordionist, once, and I was able to ask him, what tuning do you use on your accordion in the studio and in live? And he says, oh yeah, good question. I use a different tuning live to in the studio. I have a vibrato live for the Tex-Mex sound, a certain kind of vibrato, but in the studio I just use a very dry tuning. So that was quite a good clue to put all my accordions in dry tuning, so that they don't get in the way and sound like accordions. So they sound more like blues harps or a keyboard player or
so
whatever.
More bluesy than Scottish. It's taking away from the Scottish sound.
Yeah, exactly. Although it is a Scottish accordion of the style that was played at the time. So the other thing is about the accordion, that if you're going to play the accordion, you need to know why you're playing. You can't just pick up an accordion and start playing random notes. You have to know in your head why you're playing those notes, because the accordion itself doesn't have any shape to the note. It's not like a violin where you articulate the note. The actual note itself is a given quantity. You can't change it. All you can do is touch the note in a certain way and be sensitive to the way it fits in the music. So you have to know how it's going to fit in. With Jen, quite often I have in mind a certain style on a certain song, so that's why I'm putting those notes in that place, to make it sound like that style. But the cool thing is not to let on to anybody what that style is, so that it still doesn't swamp Jen's style, so it just adds something to it. So I might, for example, we didn't play any songs like this tonight, but because I played so much Cajun music, that's the traditional music of French Louisiana, on Cajun accordions, I know how to make music sound Cajun by playing in a certain way. So on some numbers I do that, and it's very interesting how we've managed to fashion that fusion. Initially when we started doing it, it was a bit difficult to do. Jen had to sort of steel herself not to be put off.
I had to change my rhythm a bit. I had to learn to swing. I'd always written songs that weren't swinging, because nobody swings their music in mainstream pop, so I was just copying the normal pop style, just not swinging. But to play Cajun music, you have to swing. So that's like a new thing I had to learn. But now a lot of my songs swing, and I really like it. I think it makes it sound a little bit more cool. So I like that. I like that I learned that from playing with Kim and learning Cajun music. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess we both studied jazz drums together. So we took lessons with a jazz drum teacher.
So why not, right?
The same teacher. And what we'd do is we'd bring records along and we'd play them to him, and he'd tell us how to play the drum part. So we did this with Cajun and Zydeco music pretty much, mostly.
Yeah, because we couldn't really find a drummer that was playing in that style, so we thought, oh, we'll just learn it ourselves. And Kim was playing percussion for us, and it was also really useful for me learning to play drums, because then I could transfer that kind of rhythmic quality into my guitar playing. I think it's helped me play guitar better. I think.
So this was James Chapman to us. He's not that well-known drummer, but he's a great drummer. And
Thanks,
he's
James.
very strict with the drums. He says if you're swinging, you have to swing, and if you're not swinging, you have to not swing. So we're talking about difference between funk and swing, really. So after funk started up with like Professor Longhair and the New Orleans march bands, that was a way of playing which was using the second line snare drum beat, and it wasn't a swing beat. You can swing that beat, but the way it took off internationally and became funk with the Meters and the Neville Brothers and those early funk bands was it was a straight beat taken on in soul music. So from thereafter, music didn't swing. So to relearn how to swing and play Cajun music as it was played during the swing era, we had to get a jazz teacher to teach us how to swing. So some songs we play swing of Jen songs, and some we definitely know they don't. But we're not playing drums on stage. We just know where the rhythms are. So it's kind of just instinctive.
It's just helpful to know. Helps when you are playing with a drummer, knowing what's going on as well. You're kind of more tuned into what they're doing. It's quite nice playing other people's instruments because, you know what they're dealing with a bit more, and you have more respect for them as well. Drums are hard.
Yeah, you can't make any mistakes. So those instruments, the flute and the accordion, a lot of those parts are designed to fit in with a particular kind of drum part. So they're very simple parts. But when you're just playing the two of you, people aren't listening to your songs to hear me play the accordion. They want to hear something that's not in the way. They want to hear Jen's vocals.
It all works together very nice. But yeah, you have to fit in. Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't blame me if I don't feel your pain. The same old story that you need to tell again. Sure, I listen, but it does no good. I know you blame me, but I did all I could. Now when you say that you have lost your way, I wanna help, but I don't know what to say. Know what to say. I tell it didn't last for long. Before you know it, you're back to the